The widowed millionaire and the girl he trusted. The widowed millionaire hired an orphan girl as a caregiver for his terminally ill son. He did it quietly, without interviews, without agencies, without publicity. His life no longer needed witnesses. What he needed was time, borrowed, fragile, and cruelly limited. Ethan Kross had once been a name that echoed in boardrooms and financial columns. A man who turned nothing into an empire, who bought companies before breakfast and sold them before dinner. He had been interviewed by magazines, photographed beside private jets, quoted as an example of modern success. People called him ruthless, brilliant, untouchable. But that man had died the same year his wife did. Amelia Kross was not just his wife. She had been the quiet axis of his life, the one person who spoke to him without fear or admiration. She corrected his ties before meetings, mocked his seriousness, and reminded him that money was a tool, not a god. When cancer took her in less than 9 months, Ethan learned a truth no balance sheet had prepared him for. Success does not soften loss. It sharpens it. At the funeral, people spoke about strength and legacy. Ethan heard only the sound of earth hitting wood. He remembered the day Amelia had held his hand, smiling despite pain, whispering that life was more than business, more than fear. That memory now seemed to ache through his chest like a dull knife. 3 months later, his son Oliver collapsed at school. The diagnosis came after weeks of tests and sleepless nights. A rare neurological disease. Progressive. Incurable. Doctors spoke carefully, as if softer words could change biology. They used phrases like limited expectancy and symptom management. They avoided numbers. Ethan asked for numbers anyway. Months. Maybe a few years. No promises. Ethan sold half his businesses within a year. He stepped down from boards. Delegated power. Money no longer mattered, only time. And time, for the first time in his life, was something he could not buy. The mansion that once hosted galas became silent. Corridors echoed with the hum of medical machines. Expensive art watched over hospital beds. Nurses came and went, professional, distant, rotating shifts. They spoke in gentle voices and avoided eye contact with Oliver. Oliver hated them all. "They look at me like I'm already gone," he whispered one evening, his voice barely louder than the machine beside him. That was the night Ethan dismissed the last agency. He wanted someone different. Someone who wouldn't see his son as a diagnosis. That was how Lily entered their lives. She was 19. Thin, pale, with eyes far older than her age. She had grown up in foster homes, learned early not to ask for much, learned how to disappear when adults were angry and how to listen when they were tired. She had taken care of younger children long before anyone paid her to do so. She remembered the small victories in the orphanage, the quiet smiles of babies she comforted, the first word a child said after weeks of silence. Those victories were rare, but they taught her patience, and patience became her armor. Her resume was short. Her letter was not. She wrote about silence, about patience, about knowing what it meant to sit beside someone who hurt and not rush to fix them. She wrote that she didn't believe caregiving was about medicine alone. Sometimes it was about presence. She wrote about listening to hearts that had no voice, and how sometimes that alone could keep someone alive. Ethan hired her after a 10-minute conversation. Not because she impressed him. Because Oliver smiled when she knelt in front of his wheelchair and said, "Hi, I'm Lily. I don't know everything, but I can learn. And I make really bad jokes." Oliver laughed. That laugh changed everything. Lily did not treat Oliver like a dying child. She argued with him about chess moves, accused him of cheating, then pretended to lose dramatically. She sneaked chocolate when the doctors weren't looking and pretended not to notice when Ethan caught her. She read adventure novels aloud using different voices, turning villains ridiculous and heroes clumsy. She carried him into the garden when he was too tired to walk and told him stories about places she had never been, oceans she imagined, cities she traced on maps, futures she built carefully so they wouldn't hurt. Ethan watched from a distance. At first, he told himself it was supervision. Then he realized it was something else. Lily brought warmth back into the house. The staff noticed. The walls noticed. Even Ethan noticed, though he refused to name the feeling. She stayed late without being asked. Learned the medical routines perfectly. Memorized Oliver's bad days and good hours. Slept on the couch outside his room during bad nights, wrapped in a thin blanket, always waking at the smallest sound. She never complained. Sometimes Ethan caught her talking to Oliver when she thought no one listened, telling him about her childhood, about the home she had passed through, about learning not to unpack too much because nothing stayed. She spoke softly about the nights she cried alone, the teachers who ignored her, the children she had saved and lost. And Oliver listened, not with pity, but with wonder. One evening, Ethan came home earlier than planned. A board meeting had ended abruptly. He expected silence. Instead, he heard music. Soft piano notes drifted through the hallway. He stopped. The piano hadn't been played since Amelia died. Ethan followed the sound. In the living room, Lily sat at the piano. Oliver was beside her, his weak fingers resting on the keys while Lily guided them. She was singing quietly, off-key, unafraid. Oliver was laughing. Ethan stood frozen, unseen. Then Lily said something that made his breath catch. "You know, your dad thinks he's invisible when he worries. But I see it. He loves you so much it hurts him." Oliver looked up. "He doesn't smile anymore." "I think," Lily said softly, "he forgot how." Ethan stepped back before they could notice him. That night, he couldn't sleep. Days turned into months. Oliver's condition worsened, then stabilized unexpectedly. Doctors were surprised. They spoke of emotional stability, of environment, of miracles that weren't medical. Ethan started joining them at dinner. He listened. He learned. Lily never crossed boundaries. Never asked for money. Never asked about the future. But she saw things others didn't. She knew when Ethan needed coffee instead of condolences. When silence mattered more than words. One rainy afternoon, Oliver asked a question that broke the room. "Will Lily stay when I'm gone?" Ethan felt his chest collapse. Lily knelt beside Oliver. "I'm not going anywhere today." Oliver smiled. "That's enough." Winter came hard. Oliver grew weaker. One night, he asked them both to stay. They sat on either side of his bed, holding his hands. "I'm not scared," Oliver whispered. "Because you found each other." Ethan closed his eyes. Oliver passed away before dawn. The house fell silent again. Days blurred. Time lost shape. Lily packed her things. Ethan stopped her. "You don't have to leave," he said. She looked at him gently. "I know. But I think you need to grieve alone." Months later, a letter arrived. From Lily. A year later, Ethan went looking for her. In a quiet library, she looked up. And smiled. Some stories do not end with death. Some begin after it. And sometimes, the people we hire to save someone else end up saving us too. After Oliver's death, the mansion did not simply become quiet. It became hollow. Rooms existed without purpose. Toys remained where they had been left, untouched, as if time itself had decided to show respect. Ethan moved through the house like a guest who had overstayed his welcome. He slept in his office more often than in his bedroom. The bed he once shared with Amelia remained perfectly made, a museum exhibit of a life that no longer existed. Grief did not come to him in waves. It came in precise, surgical moments. A glass left on the table where Oliver used to sit. A chessboard frozen mid-game. The piano lid still open. Ethan stopped eating properly. Stopped answering calls. His companies continued to operate without him, efficient and indifferent. Money kept flowing, just as life had once promised it always would. But Ethan felt bankrupt. Lily's absence was noticeable in a different way. She had left no mess, no disruption. Only an emptiness that felt warmer than the rest of the house, like the memory of a fire after it had gone out. Ethan told himself that her leaving was logical, necessary, even kind. Logic, however, offered no comfort. At night, he found himself replaying small moments, the way she corrected Oliver gently when he grew frustrated, the way she listened more than she spoke, the way she never looked at Ethan with pity. Only understanding. Weeks passed. Then came the first letter. It was short, handwritten. Lily's handwriting was uneven, careful. "I'm in a small town near the coast. I found work at a library. It's quiet here. I think quiet is what I need. I hope you are breathing again. Please don't answer if it hurts." Ethan read the letter twice. Then folded it. Then unfolded it. He did not reply. Not because he didn't want to. because he didn't know how to exist in a world where Oliver was no longer waiting for him to come home. Another letter arrived a month later. This one longer. Lily wrote about learning how to shelve books, about an elderly woman who came every morning just to talk, about discovering that grief did not disappear when you moved, it only changed rooms. At the end, she wrote, "I still hear his laugh sometimes. I hope that's okay." Ethan cried for the first time since the funeral. He began to write replies. He never sent them. Instead, he wrote in a notebook he had once used for business ideas. Page after page, he wrote to his son, to Amelia, to Lily. Words poured out without structure, without purpose, except survival. Winter ended. Spring came reluctantly. One morning, Ethan stood in the garden where Lily used to carry Oliver. The grass had grown wild. Flowers bloomed without permission. Life, infuriatingly, continued. He made a decision. He sold the mansion. The press called it a strategic move. Analysts speculated about investments. No one understood that Ethan could not continue living in a place where every wall remembered more than he did. He moved into a smaller house near the city. Anonymous. Quiet. And for the first time in years, he began doing something radical. He volunteered. At first, it was awkward. Ethan Cross, billionaire, sitting in a children's hospital reading stories to strangers. He did not speak of his past. He did not give donations. He simply showed up. He discovered something unexpected. Helping did not heal him, but it kept him alive. Another letter arrived. This one was different. "I almost didn't write this," Lily confessed. "But I think you should know. There is a boy here. Sick. Not terminal, but afraid. I sit with him sometimes. And every time I do, I understand more clearly what Oliver gave me. What you gave me." Ethan replied the same day. "I think he saved us. Both of us." Their correspondence grew steadier, deeper. They spoke about fear, about guilt, about the strange betrayal of laughter returning when you think you no longer deserve it. Neither spoke of love. Not yet. A year passed. On the anniversary of Oliver's death, Ethan did not go to the cemetery. Instead, he booked a train ticket. He did not announce his arrival. The coastal town was small, slow, alive in a way the city had forgotten how to be. Ethan walked the streets without recognition, without expectation. The library stood at the corner of the main square. Inside, the smell of paper and dust wrapped around him. Lily stood behind the counter, older, stronger, still unmistakably herself. She looked up. Time hesitated. Then she smiled. And in that moment, Ethan understood something that grief had hidden from him for a long time. Love does not replace loss. It grows around it. Lily did not speak at first. She simply looked at Ethan as if he were a memory that had learned how to walk out of the past. "You came," she said finally, her voice quieter than he remembered. "I didn't know how not to," Ethan replied. They stood there, surrounded by shelves of books that had witnessed thousands of stories beginning and ending, none of them daring enough to interrupt the silence. Lily stepped out from behind the counter. She looked different. Not older, deeper. Life had left marks on her, but they were not wounds anymore. They were seams. They walked outside together without deciding to. The town breathed slowly. The sea was close enough to smell. They talked about ordinary things first. About weather. About work. About how strange it felt to see each other without hospital walls between them. Only later, sitting on a bench near the shore, did Lily speak the truth she had been carrying. "I was afraid," she admitted. If I let myself need you, I would lose you too." Ethan nodded. "I was afraid that if I reached for anything again, it would disappear." Fear, they realized, had been their common language long before grief. Days passed. Ethan extended his stay. They began meeting every morning for coffee. Some days they talked for hours. Some days they walked in silence. It was not romance. It was recognition. One evening, Lily took him to a small cliff above the sea. "I come here when it gets heavy," she said. "When I think about who I used to be." Ethan watched the horizon. "I come here when I forget who I am now." That night, for the first time in years, Ethan dreamed without waking in panic. But healing is never linear. A phone call came from the city. an old partner, a legal issue, a reminder of the world Ethan had stepped away from. He had to leave. Lily understood before he explained. You don't have to choose. Just don't disappear. Back in the city, Ethan felt the old gravity pull at him. Meetings, decisions, control. But something inside him resisted. He returned to the hospital where he volunteered. One afternoon, a boy asked him, "Why do you come here if you're rich?" Ethan answered honestly, "Because someone once sat with my son. And it mattered." Weeks later, Lily visited the city. She stood awkwardly in Ethan's smaller, quieter house. "It doesn't feel lonely," she said. "It's not," Ethan replied. "Not anymore." They cooked dinner together, burned it, laughed. It startled them both. That night, nothing happened. And that was how they knew it was real. Time passed. Slowly, carefully, something fragile took shape. They did not promise forever. They promised honesty. On Oliver's birthday, they went to the garden of the old house, now owned by strangers, and stood by the fence. Lily placed a small wooden chess piece on the ground. "He would have liked that," she said. Ethan took her hand. And for the first time, he did not feel guilt. Only gratitude. Gratitude, Ethan discovered, was a dangerous emotion. It softened you. It made room. And once there was room, other things followed. Like memory. After Lily returned to the coast, the city felt louder than before. Not noisier, heavier. Ethan noticed things he had ignored for years. The way people rushed without looking at each other. The way conversations were traded like currency, efficient and empty. He returned to work, but not the way he once had. He sold what no longer mattered. He shut down projects that existed only to grow numbers. When partners asked why, he answered simply, "Because I can." And for the first time, that answer felt honest. He spent more time at the hospital. One afternoon, the boy Lily had mentioned, the afraid one, asked Ethan to sit closer. "Will it hurt?" The boy whispered. Ethan did not lie. "Sometimes. But you won't be alone." The boy nodded, satisfied. That night, Ethan wrote to Lily. He told her about the boy, about the question, about how strange it felt to be trusted again. Her reply came 2 days later. "I think this is who you were always meant to be," she wrote. "Not the man who built towers, but the one who sits down." Ethan read that sentence until the words blurred. Months passed. Their visits became rhythm. Sometimes she came to the city. Sometimes he went to the coast. They never planned far ahead. Planning had once betrayed them both. People began to notice. Not gossip, recognition. Ethan smiled more. Not often, but honestly. One night, standing in Lily's small kitchen, he asked a question he had been carrying for weeks. "Do you ever think about staying?" Lily didn't answer right away. "I think about belonging," she said finally. "Staying is just a word." He understood. The decision, when it came, was quiet. Lily moved to the city. Not into Ethan's house. Into her own small apartment, filled with borrowed furniture and second-hand books. "I need a door that's mine," she explained. Ethan respected that more than he could explain. They learned each other slowly. How silence could mean comfort. How space could mean care. One night, months later, Lily stayed over. There was no music. No urgency. Only two people who had learned how easily everything could be taken. Love arrived without announcement. It did not promise safety. It promised truth. Years later, when reporters asked Ethan why he had disappeared from the lists of the world's richest men, he answered with a smile, "I invested elsewhere." They never married. They never needed to. They built something quieter. Something that breathed. And on certain evenings, when the light was right, they played chess. Ethan always lost. And for the first time in his life, he was grateful.